Hi, everyone. Mark Merrill with Firm. It's about politics, rhetoric, and our future. For the past several weeks, we the people, not only of Maine folks, but the entire law-abiding citizens like you of the United States have been bashed, blamed, and rattled for our defense of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and, just more recently, the Declaration of Independence, as we read from paragraph 2, as we have done on a regular basis here on Firm. Fairness in Reporting Media, Mark Merrill. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. There's only one God. And a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation of such. We, the people, hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to those ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that government long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them, the people, under absolute despotism, it is their right, the people, it is their duty, the people, to throw off such government. Throw off such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. Get yourself a copy, folks, for your children and your grandchildren as well. Firm makes one issue quite clear, folks, and will publish as many places on social media and online as possible, that our country was founded on Judeo-Christian values, morals, and to stand up for God's inherent defense of life in His image, not human ideologies and or inhumane, uncivilized threats to our republic. The result of such behaviors? Guess what? No more freedom of existence on planet Earth, because history, which belongs to God, by the way, sports fans, history shows and keeps showing throughout the decades and millennium of events that freedom comes at a deadly cost. No freedom, you say? Oh, no ability to explore then and think. For what human beings, guided by the Creator of us all on this third rock from the sun, can do for future generations who just want peace in all our times, because we all have only one life. That's it. Now, these people you see before you, folks, are just some of the ones we wanted to post up here on Firm. Laurel Libby, I'm sure you're familiar with her. Kristi Noem, of course, DHS, the president, and also Tom Homan, the ICE chief. We'd like now, though, to show you exactly what's going on as far as the rhetoric is concerned in our civilization. If you want to call it a civilization, yikes. I don't know if I'd want to call it that, folks. But here comes the rhetoric. Tell you exactly what's going on here. So get ready. Because it ain't going to be pretty to hear. But at least you'll see some of it as well, as you now see some of the characters or caricatures before us here. There's a lot of bad characters there too, folks. But listen up, first of all, okay? About some examples of rhetoric, blame, and denial of accountability that we took a little bit from our friends at GHRT and W-V-O-M radio in Bangor, Maine. This should be eye-opening for many people and keep us focused on how precious our freedoms are.
And the common denominator, the thread among all of them was the need to see elected and political leaders in our state cool down the rhetoric as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers do what they have been assigned to do. And so in the past 24, this was one of those nights where I was up more than I was asleep, finding the comments, and I will say this, amplified by Maine newspapers and television stations over the past 24 hours. And has their comments cooled it or heated things up?
And federal law enforcement activity is occurring inside any community. Political rhetoric, both left and right, local and national, can significantly shape the public response. We're not going through a thing like Minneapolis has gone through, but there's some of it in Maine. Most people would like to see it calmed even further, but then at the same time, it's in the news every day. It's on TV every day. It's almost hard for, especially when you're getting into an election cycle, for people to be totally quiet. You wish they would say things that would not inflame, but it happens.
You could argue that Senator Angus King, unenrolled, is heating it up. His comments yesterday describing ICE actions as terrorizing, speaking with porters and reporters in Portland.
Never in my experience seen law enforcement agencies with masks on, without body cams, often without identification. And I guess the point that struck me this morning after talking to the mayor in Biddeford and thinking about this is, what is the damage being done in order to protect us from damage seems to be greater.
One thing that came to mind when Angus King said that was, well, this is not local law enforcement. This is federal law enforcement, and we know some who have been detained and arrested in our state have ties to drug cartels. That's why they wear masks. I don't know about the body cams, but I know about the masks. Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joyce called a news conference yesterday. Yes, he is an elected leader. And you will recall that among those rounded up day one of Operation Catch of the Day was a Cumberland County Corrections recruit.
This encounter, who said that in the 3 minutes they got out, they pulled a guy from the car, handcuffed him, put him in the car, they all took off, leaving his car with the windows down, the lights on, unsecure, and unoccupied. They left it right on the side of the street. Folks, that's Bush League policing.
A thought came to mind, maybe it came to someone else's mind in hearing the sheriff describe that situation. In red states, we are seeing local law enforcement cooperate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement when they are assigned to go and find a person and detain them. And we have learned in red states that that support takes care of a situation like that. If a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement official was called in to take care of that situation, the car might be left there, yeah. But in red states, we're seeing the cooperation from state police, county, and locals help deal with those situations. By the way, Joyce also says that his candidate that was detained was, here's the quote, squeaky clean. And during his news conference, if you heard it, he did say that, well, I don't know, maybe he got by the polygraph. But Kevin Joyce also termed his hiring standards as, and his protocol as, rigorous. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, can I just point out that?
Yeah.
But of course, you know and I know that one of the Cumberland County Corrections officials was found to be here unlawfully, tried to get a firearm, and was deported. How rigorous? It's just a question to be asked.
City officials also, we talk about state officials. The city officials get involved if it's in their community, and we're looking at Portland, Lewiston, South Portland. The Portland City Councilor, Wes Pelletier, described the federal action as a war of terror being waged on our city by the federal government, arguing increased ICE activity is unnecessary. That was a quote from I don't know him, Wes Pelletier.
Now, do you want to contrast that with, said yesterday, he's sounding like one of the adults in the room, Portland Mayor Mark Dion, again speaking. He has said, day before, look, let the ICE officers do their job. If you want to do your part, just be a witness to what you're seeing. But his emphasis has been on legality and safety, saying enforcement is lawful if there's a warrant. You can put a pin in that. We can come back to it. There's a memo that says otherwise. People should not obstruct officers, and the public should act as witnesses rather than intervening. And compare him with what Carl Schelin in Lewiston, however, is saying, because, George, you rightly bring up what our mayor's saying.
Schelin condemned the tactics. He raised concerns about indiscriminate arrests, warning that a disproportionate enforcement is damaging trust in community safety.
Do you have his quotes?
Yeah.
Using, quote, terror and intimidation tactics. This is Lewiston Mayor Carl Schelin, again, heating it up or cooling it down, and again, talking about masked men.
Well, it's been an issue in Minneapolis. It's been an issue everywhere.
I think we touched on it with Angus King's comment just a moment ago. Meanwhile, Governor Janet Mills, I guess you could say her comments, although she used the term secret police, and again, these are the comments that are amplified by the newspapers and television stations over the past 24 hours. Governor Mills, you could say, is trying to cool it down a bit.
It's disruptive, and it's causing a lot of fear and unnecessary anxiety in the community and among families who don't deserve this kind of treatment.
I do have a problem with what the governor has shared. She claims to have no direct contact with the Trump administration or Immigration and Customs Enforcement. She said yesterday she's getting her information from where? Media accounts, news accounts. So when she says they're disrupting families and they're hurting schools, where is she getting her information?
Well, I have no idea, to be honest with you.
You can say what she said.
Probably not getting much out of the Trump administration.
As I just said a moment ago, she says, her words, she's not in direct contact with them, nor is she in direct contact with ICE. She said she's getting her information from media reports. Can we talk about Graham Plattner for a moment? Because
I don't have much on him.
He released a statement, quote, ICE murdered an American citizen 2 weeks ago. Now they have come into our state to drag Mainers out of their homes and kidnap them off our streets based on nothing but racism and lies. It is absolutely disgusting. I could read on. I do not believe that Graham Plattner is cooling it down.
No.
Sidebar, Your Honor. If I were working for the Graham Plattner campaign, the political ad against Janet Mills was written yesterday when she spent day one of Operation Catch of the Day. Again, this comment this clarification did not come from the Mills administration. It came from her campaign. Yes, she was at a campaign event in San Francisco. And you can imagine the Plattner campaign is ready to say, on day one, when masked ICE agents came to, what were his words, drag Mainers out of their homes and kidnap them off our streets, where did Janet Mills go? San Francisco. That's not leadership. That's cowardice. That's not the campaign ad. It very well could be. Katrina Smith is Republican state representative. They had already produced what is the Republican address for the week, and they released it early.
Let me be very clear. ICE agents are federal law enforcement officers. They take an oath. They operate under federal authority, and they show up to work knowing that rhetoric alone can make them a target. You can oppose immigration policy without turning the people and forcing the law into enemies.
I consider her comments over the past 24 to be something to try to cool it down, George.
Mills has publicly, I think she's going from a different perspective, I guess, in her legal background. She was talking about clear arrest warrants. reminding people that if a police officer wants to come into your home, you have to have a warrant signed by a judge. And there have been some reports that this is going on. I don't know if they're accurate or not.
Well, the DOJ memo that came out that said you do not need it in this situation, that comes from Washington.
That's not local, right?
Well, it would cover a federal ICE agent who's working in Maine. I'm glad you mentioned the you need a warrant to get in. One more clip of audio I want to play for you, and it's not from an elected leader, but it's from a civil servant. This was recorded in South Portland in front of West End Apartments. The sound you're going to hear is that of a United States Postal Service worker who's stopping what he is doing because there are U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents seeking access to effect an arrest of someone within West End Apartments. I have done my best to sanitize this sound. Here's what transpired.
Don't let them in. They need a warrant. Nazis. Do not let them in the building. They need a warrant.
In a moment, you're going to hear a car come by with a horn to disrupt and alert anyone inside the building as to what's going on. I do edit this for time because that goes on for some time. In a moment, you'll hear another individual join the postal worker.
Not letting you guys in? Oh, that sucks. Good. Nobody wants you here. Immigrants built this country.
Legal ones, but
Show your faces, Nazis. How much you guys get paid for this? Racist. What's your salary? How long did it take you to get here from New York? Tell me you're racist without telling me you're racist. Fucking shameful. How do you sleep at night, you mother... Yeah, that's right, leave. We don't want you here. Messing with me is a federal offense, mother... I work for the government, too. Only I actually care about people. Follow them. Get right on their ass.
and at the end you hear him encouraging people who are there and blasting their horns to disrupt the activities to, again, roll up behind and tailgate the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents who were trying to effect an arrest of someone that is on their list of 1,400 people, perhaps here in the state of Maine, in Operation Catch of the Day, Day 2.
Heard enough, folks? We sure as heck have here at Firm. Now let's do a rundown of our own. As you see the people before you here, some of them anyway, and they're, most of them, not very nice people. So we continue on. First of all, Descartes Delac, who at the time was serving a second term in the Maine legislature, Maine House, representing part of South Portland and a member of the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee. But in 2021, more than 30 years after first coming to the United States to flee civil war in Somalia, she became the first Somali-American mayor in the country. Co-founder of the Cross-Cultural Community Services and formerly worked as the Assistant Executive Director at Gateway Community Services in Portland. Uh-huh. Yikes. When is this going to stop, folks? Right here. The whole demands of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're still hearing about it in the media, on major networks, and in newspapers, in our schools, in our colleges. Stop it. One of the cronies of the Mills administration, an attorney general who has no backbone and no midsection to stand up for the rule of law, following the lawfare of Washington, D.C., just to anger the Trump administration and throw darts and threats of violence against people he doesn't like, but because of the whims and the money, possibly even money that we don't even want to know about, folks. We will not mention that here at Firm because we don't have the facts. But we can just about pretty much figure out that it's not taxpayer dollars that are being wasted, stolen, outside influences as well. These people need to leave government. Other enemies, folks. Right down here, you can see the title. Why on earth do we behave as American citizens as if politicians and most others are some sorts of demigods? Are you kidding me? No. We just finished explaining in our introduction, folks, that there's no such thing as humans above God. Next. Isn't there still an ongoing battle here, folks? With teachers and parents? Hasn't stopped. It needs to. We also have the axis. The three powers on the face of God's earth that need to take a hike. Take a chill pill. Stop killing your own people and destroying others. Putin, Xi Jinping of China, and the mullahs of Iran, which are on the verge of losing their country anyway. Seems the people have finally spoken and they want them out. This is what it all boils down to here, folks, as far as we're concerned at Firm. Common sense. Common sense. And how to stop the bullying. How is it we can stop the bullying? As it says up there, folks, and we will read it. Parents, school staff, and other caring adults have a role to play in preventing bullying. Help kids understand bullying. Talk about what bullying is and how to stand up to it safely. Tell kids bullying is unacceptable. Make sure kids know how to get help. Keep the lines of communication open. Check in with kids often. Listen to them. Don't argue with the parents or threaten the parents that they don't know how to raise their children. Know their friends. Ask about school and understand their concerns. Encourage kids to do what they love, special activities, interests, hobbies that can boost confidence and help kids make friends and protect them from bullying behavior. And model how to treat others with kindness and respect. One of our motto and mission phrases, folks. Truth, facts, reality, and common sense. Any questions from the civilized world or what's left of it in a current 350 million American society that still have a voice for freedom, truth, facts, reality? And this one? For more information, folks, and as always, please contact us, as you can see, at Firm, through our email, and on social media. First, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are also on YouTube, X, and now Substack. We'll provide those links as well. Everyone pray for our country, our state, and stay safe. Peace to all.